In psychology and with APRA, so that's the Australian Health Practitioners Regulation, Australia.
Do you think psychologists are not prone to having their own mental health issues? Or psychologists can get through the life without any mental health challenges?
Yeah, absolutely not. We're not immune. That's a good question, though. And it's interesting, actually. We've just seen...
Because you have all the tools.
You would think, right? Yeah. It's kind of... I think that's what's like when it comes to family as well. Mm-hmm. People will... Not so much anymore, but definitely when I started becoming a psychologist, people were like, oh, well, why are your family arguing? You know, you couldn't just figure that out. You've got your own frustrations. You get mad as with them. There's no one that can wind you up quite like your family, is there? I'm a big believer in peers, so experience. So in mental health sectors, and certainly the board that I was on, we championed people who are peers. That is people who have lived experience of a mental health concern. I think that's so vital that people understand that there's a wealth of knowledge to be had for someone who's walked that path already. In psychology and with APRA, so that's the Australian Health Practitioners Regulation, Australia, and they oversee doctors. We all have to register with them, physios, nurses, midwives, psychologists. You know, sometimes there has been complaints that have come through on that board around the psychologist's undisclosed mental health concerns, and that can make psychologists feel very much on edge. But a lot of psychologists are in this profession, in this role, because of things that they've seen in life, because of things that have happened very early on in their lives. And maybe they've had early exposure to psychology or counselling, and they thought, wow, this is definitely my thought process. If this has made me feel so radically different, then I would love to do that for other people. No one's immune. How I got very much into psychology was, and I touched on it earlier, there was significant suicides going on in our school. And I mean, consistently for a couple of months, it was at least a suicide a month. And that, it really rocks you.
At what age?
16, 17, teenage years. So from 12 to 18. And it varied. And then for a little while, there was suicide pacts where two people might suicide together. How do you even get your head around that as a kid? Like one day, someone you know in school is there. And then unfortunately, it came a bit closer with one of my good friends dying by suicide. And that's what I say. Sometimes suicide just happens. People are very good at keeping things together because they know that things are going to be different soon for them. I guess for this person, she did try to reach out for help with her parents, which I didn't know about. But at that stage in Ireland, the only thing was go to your doctor, get medication. And that doesn't solve the problem on its own. So when people come through to me, that's why I'm like, it's such a relief. You've gone to your doctor, you've got the medication, and now you're here to talk about it. And that can be the scary part. And I think for myself growing up as well, I had this we grew up with a lot of family domestic violence, and it's not something that I say lightly, but it's something that it's important for people to know that family domestic violence, unlike any kind of mental health concern, it's often the people who you don't think. You know, like, and I want to kind of tear that apart a little bit.
Yeah.
Because in this life, with social media, people can think, oh yeah, they're doing it great. How have they got through life so well? And how have they done this? Really, it's a little bit, you have to take social media with a pinch of salt. It's not real life. There's it's almost like you're living two lives. There's a social media life, and then there's real life. And that takes grit to get through. We had significant family domestic violence sustained over a couple of years. And it wasn't until I ended up, by chance or not by chance, I'm not really sure, but I ended up working at a women's refuge. And I sat in one of their group counselling just to observe and like hopefully help out one day. And they had been saying like, oh, well, this is emotional abuse. This is financial abuse. This is like threat abuse. So the threat that someone will do something. I was like, and it was just in those moments that I thought, wow, that's what's happening in our house every single day. And I guess, you know, in communities too, I found that really difficult. You always put on your face, you go out in the morning and you say hello to everyone, everything's fine. But that for me really drove home as well. Like you never know what's going on for people behind closed doors.